Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation. Luen Yang is an award-winning author and comic creator of American-born Chinese, Lunar New Year love story, Superman Smashes the Klan, Shang Chi, and more. He's currently creating Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Books of Clash. Check it out if you haven't yet. I loved catching up with Gene and learning about his writing process and struggles to stay creative amidst the modern world distractions. It's great to know, despite how prolific he is as a writer and artist, he is human like the rest of us. Speaking of humanity, we also delve into AI pros and cons and what his hopes are for the future of art despite the rise of AI. It is such an honor to talk to guests like Gene. If you enjoyed this conversation, my favor as usual is to please continue to share this podcast with others. It would mean so much if you would also rate it and leave me feedback. If you would like to help keep this podcast going and support the work I do, visit my website or patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to become a patron of the show. For comments or suggestions, reach out on social media at SifuMimiChan. Now, on with the show. Hello, Gene. Always a pleasure to see you.
Hi, Mimi, you too. Thank you for having me on again.
Oh my goodness. It's been too long. I've been meaning to speak to you in person, catch up. We've been texting, but congrats, of course, on the Eisners for Lunar New Year Love
Thank
Story and
you.
all the
Thank
other
you so
Eisners you've
much.
won
Thank
along the
you.
way since the last time we've spoken in person. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
not just the Eisners, there's been so many other really remarkable awards that book has gotten so much acclaim on. And I have to admit, I'm very excited about it having, a little connection.
Yeah, you were such an important part of that process. There's every panel where there was lion dancing has yeah,
Kind of the
yeah,
theme.
Sifu Mimi's fingerprints are all over every single one of
Oh my gosh, I love that so
those
much.
pages.
No,
Yeah, really, Win and I so appreciate all of the help that you gave
oh
us.
my gosh, please. It was beyond my pleasure. Like, I am so thrilled. I was so excited to see, especially at even my Kung Fu school, all the kids picking it up and reading it,
Oh,
and kids
cool.
telling me, like, or parents telling me, like, my child doesn't like reading books, but they read this in like a day because they felt
Oh,
so
awesome, awesome.
connected to the story, the characters, and
Yeah.
like seeing things they've done. Like, not to use the word representation all the time, but it really resonated with a lot of communities beyond like what I think you would even imagine. But it was so well received, clearly. Clearly. I don't have to tell you this.
We were very pleased by the reception to that book. Yeah, we feel very very honored. And Win is working on an amazing book right now with the writer of the Frozen movie. It'll be
Yes.
released pretty soon.
Amazing.
Uh,
She is the cutest. I don't do a ton of social media, but of course I try to catch hers because you basically get a whole comic about her holidays and her trips. So she
yeah, yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
just
yeah,
go,
yeah.
here's a photo of me in Vietnam. Like, it's a
Yeah, that's
whole
right.
comic strip of like this and her family and running around the place. It's
She's an
adorable. I'm like, how does
overachiever.
she have time for
Yeah.
this?
She's a total overachiever.
Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, she
I
really
know
is.
this now having collaborated and just like the detail and the amount that of work that went into this. Like, it was the one of the coolest things, I have to say. Like, so thank you so much for including me on that. But huge congrats. I was
Thank
so
you. Thank
thrilled
you.
to see that. That was like, oh man,
Yeah, yeah,
we were really
we
excited.
were very very pleased with the support that we got for that book. It was amazing. Really
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I am really excited to also, of course, you're always creating. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if I want to make sure this comes out in like the most complimentary way possible. And I'm afraid it's going to come across wrong for listeners, but it's really interesting to me whenever I can and you've talked about this before as a teacher, like, comics can be educational and fun, right? But for me, especially as an Asian American, as a Chinese American, I'm always looking to like learn more about my culture. And I recently did a lecture for my students on the history of Chinese martial arts through the dynasties. So basically, like,
Mm,
when was this sword introduced, or what, when did, martial arts kind of begin, and what happened in each dynasty and era. And of course, I recommended, as we got into the Boxer Rebellion, I recommended Boxers and Saints. So there's like a little book club going on about that. But I'm not the best historical reader. Like, I don't love to read textbooks and things like that, but like, you've always been able to just really make people feel connected to their Asian culture, Chinese culture specifically, but also from an aspect of like learning how to like enjoy it, right? So I kind of have been analogizing you to Stan Sakai, how oh, he kind of teaches you about Japanese culture through this incredible rabbit, character. And I'm always like, Gene is kind of like the Stan Sakai of a lot of like Chinese American identity, but also Chinese culture. And I think it's really missing. Like, there's not a lot of it. I'm sure there is some, but like you really have this way of like connecting the dots, and I just love that. So hopefully that
Thank
came out
you.
right.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you. I do think like I went to China for the very first time in the year 2000, mainly in China,
Hmm.
and I was already, an adult. I actually went as a teacher. I chaperoned a group of my students on a tour, and I remember walking around China and feeling like things were really familiar, but also really not familiar. Like it was almost
Hmm.
like remembering like a vague dream. That's kind of what it felt
Yeah.
like. Like things kind of felt like I remember them through echoes. That's kind of what it felt like. And a lot of the comics that I do are about trying to figure that out, trying to figure
Hmm.
out these things that I feel like I should know, but I don't really know
Yeah.
because I should feel connected to, but I'm not really connected to. I know that some people who grow up in mainland China, who are actually Chinese as opposed to Chinese American, they'll say when they read my comics, they think, "Oh, this was definitely written by a Chinese American, not a Chinese person." And I think that's fine. That's something that I've accepted. There's gonna be like because I'm not perfectly connected to China, that's gonna come out in the stories that I tell.
But and I feel like though in a lot of ways, especially for a US market or an English, maybe it's a language thing too, like an English speaking market, it really is easy to digest. I guess that's probably the worst way
Mm,
to put it, but
mm.
like it's so much easier than like literally behind me, I have Journey to the West, Three
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kingdoms, all this stuff. I can't read it. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
beautiful. I
yeah,
love having it there. It makes me feel scholarly, but I can't read that.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
let's be real. And just like your Monkey King and all of the Monkey Prince and just things like that to be able to touch on it. Of course, American Born Chinese. I think there is a really unique way that you kind of bring the storytelling together. And I was curious if a lot of these themes that seem to come out in a lot like Superman Smashes the Klan, American Born Chinese, all of these things that have some of those elements, is it highly intentional or is it just really natural through your storytelling? Because like what you just mentioned, you're always trying to find a way of like self-exploration and connectivity to kind of your roots and culture.
Yeah, yeah. I used to teach at Hamlin University. I taught as part of their MFA program for creative writing. So I would teach people who are interested in writing for the young adult and children's markets. A lot of times we talked about what makes a good story, right? And story is all about conflict. Like if you don't have conflict, you don't really have a story.
Hmm.
I personally think that the best place to look for conflict is your own life, and specifically the parts of your life that cause negative emotions. So for me growing up, living in between two different cultures, having one culture at home and another one at school, going through a period of time when I felt embarrassed anytime my parents spoke Chinese, I just had a lot of negative emotions around being a Chinese American.
Yeah.
Um, I think because of that, when I write stories, that's the conflict that I gravitate towards pretty naturally. That's the conflict that was one of the central conflicts of my childhood. So
Hmm.
the stories that come out of that they just kind of come out. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to force them out.
Yeah, it feels that way. It's so natural, but also resonates with me as well. Probably because we're in the same age range and we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
probably a
yeah.
very
Gen
shared
Z.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a very shared experience. So you just kind of get that relatability. But
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I would love to tap your brain a little as someone who's trying to be more creative, trying to understand more about writing process and like
Mm,
capturing
mm.
stories and things like that and being a storyteller. I mentioned to you off air, like my life's a little bit stressful right now. Nothing horrific other than the rest of the world, like what everyone is
Yeah, yeah,
experiencing
yeah. Sure.
together. There's so much going on, but I'm always curious, and I'm so grateful that I get to talk to amazing creatives like yourself. But I always have to ask, like, how do you find creativity during stressful times? Or are you just so disciplined that you're able to block things out? Or, I mean, and despite, you know, things being dismal in the world, it's not even that. Like, just the day-to-day life can be stressful. So, like, how do you kind of
Yeah.
find those creative moments? Because sometimes it's just like, if I'm not inspired, then it's like it feels like nothing's gonna happen, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how to tap into that all the time.
Yeah, I have a hard time too. I do think that the modern world is just full of things that are pulling you away from making art, right? Like we carry these devices in our pockets, and it feels like often that the point of the device is to distract you away from what you're supposed to be doing. I have a really hard time with my phone. I'm constantly fighting with it. I've installed multiple apps on it. I have the Freedom app, which limits, it allows you to limit certain apps. And
Okay.
then on top of that, I have like a minimalist app. So it's not like shiny, bright, colorful icons. It's just words against
Mm.
like white words against a black screen.
So it's
And
less likely to
then
make you want to push the
yeah,
buttons.
it's that's the theory. That's the theory is
Does
that
it
it's less
help?
likely. It helps a little bit. I think
Okay.
honestly the biggest thing that helps is I put time limits on all like in addition to freedom. Freedom is something where I can turn on and off. But
Hmm.
in addition to that, I have another layer where I put in time limits. Like for example, I put in a 15-minute a day time limit on Instagram.
Hmm.
And then my wife puts in the passcode for it. So I don't know the
Oh,
passcode,
I
you know.
love that.
Yeah. Whereas the apps that I limit with freedom,
Yes.
I can unlock.
You
But
could,
but I had like a
oh,
really hard time with Instagram. I would
really?
fall for that algorithm. I would go on and be like, I'm just gonna post one thing about like a signing I'm doing next week, and
Yes.
I'm gonna get off. And then I'll look up and it'll be like an hour later. I
Oh,
posted it and then
so
just
you
got
like do
caught
the
into
doom
the
scroll
stupid.
thing?
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's designed to do that to your brain,
Of
right? It's
course.
designed to
Yeah,
hack
it's highly
in.
addictive. It's
It's
intentional. Like,
yeah.
yeah, that algorithm is very, very addictive. So what does it feed Gene? What does Gene's doom scroll look like? Are you getting food? Are you getting more comics? And it's just
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I do get a lot of comic
I'm
stuff. I
sure.
definitely get a
And
lot
it's
of
hard
comic
because a
stuff.
lot of them are your peers and your friends, so you
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of want to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
supportive, but
Yeah.
then yeah.
Yeah, and like stand-up comedians too. I'm into like the little stand-up comedian clips.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's so dumb. It's like you'll look up and it's like an hour later. I could have gotten so much done in that hour.
Yeah,
So,
I as someone who teaches now and mentors kids, we were going through over the summer and I've got interns, I've got people and we're like, okay, so would like you to open your Instagram or your app where it shows you how long per day
yeah,
average you
yeah, yeah.
spend.
That's right.
And I think one of them was like 8 hours or something crazy.
Yeah,
And she was like
crazy.
mortified and was
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh
right.
my God, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And Oscar and I had kind of that realization back in the day when we were like gaming. We were on that Xbox 360 playing like Halo, and then it showed you
Yeah.
like the amount of days you've spent on this device. And I was like, I could have learned another language. I need to be more
Yeah,
productive. I
that's
mean,
right.
just need to have that balance, right? I was like, it's not
Yeah,
like we
you have to
shouldn't
have
do
that
these things,
balance. Yeah.
but it is highly addictive. There's
Yeah.
like, wow. I love that your wife has like, have you ever tried to break the code just to see?
I have it. I have it. Yeah, I mean that it's because I asked her to do it, right? This is like I was
Yeah,
having
yeah.
problems with it and I was just I needed I needed
Wow.
I needed to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that she was probably very happy to hold you accountable anyway.
Yes, she is.
Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
lock you out.
she's good about that.
Hey, we all need to have that, supportive
Yeah, yeah,
being to
yeah.
keep us on
Yeah.
track. But
Yeah.
which is why I find it so interesting because you're so prolific in your writing. You're doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's releasing as we speak the next day. You're
Mhm.
always doing Books of Clash. That's ongoing. You're still doing all these one-off projects. Like it feels like you're very disciplined. Like that you wouldn't fall into the doom scroll hole. Like
No, 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 no,
I
no,
don't know
no.
how you keep how does that work? Like all the different spheres that you're juggling.
Yeah, I mean I have good days and bad days. There's some days where
Mhm.
I'm I get a lot done. And the thing about writing is it's like one good sentence could take you a few sentences to or I'm sorry, one good sentence could take you a few seconds to write,
Mhm.
or it could take you several days to write. And it's the same sentence, right? If you have a good day, it'll just come really naturally. if you have a bad day, you'll have to revise and revise and revise and revise for forever. So it's this thing where you have to force yourself to do it even when you don't feel like doing it. And that's just, it's really hard for me, right? So I have to lock up all my apps and then I have to play these mind games with myself. Like I'll set a timer. I'll set like a half-hour timer
Hmm.
and I'll say, I'm just going to work for this half hour. And after this half hour, if I don't feel like working anymore, I'm not going to work, right? And I just have to trick myself into doing that. And then
Hmm.
I'll do it. And by the end of that half hour, I'll always feel like continuing, right? But I have
That's
to
how I
trick
am with
myself.
working out.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna warm
Yeah.
up. Just
Yeah. I'm
warm
just
up.
gonna
It's
warm. Yeah,
just
yeah,
like a
yeah.
little bite size. Like, let me just warm up, see if
Yeah.
I feel good after that. And 90% of the time, you're like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
right.
there.
That's right. That's exactly it's sort of like you have like this inner like 12-year-old, like inner like a grumpy 12-year-old that you're tricking into doing work, and you just constantly, I don't know, I feel like I constantly have to do that.
Being a dad of, four, you know what that's like then.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
Having to
mean,
be
we
the
we would do that
tricker.
with vegetables. We would be like, just take 3 bites and then let's see how you feel. We would always do
Ah,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. With the veggies. I mean, I that's so funny because this is completely off track and not really like relevant, but I always had these conversations growing up with people and they hated their veggies. And I guess because I think Chinese veggies are delicious, like they're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just
yeah.
steamed broccoli. I was always like, what's the deal, guys? I love vegetables. They're like my favorite thing on the plate. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
veggies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a preparation. Like we gotta like
I
find the
agree.
ways.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I do think Chinese people cook our vegetables perfectly, right? We don't
Right?
overcook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
I
they're
think
they're flavorful and
yeah, that's right.
especially
Yeah.
with white rice, jasmine rice, some good rice.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
you can't go wrong.
A hundred
All right.
percent agree.
I
I
always
agree.
go down this food path. Like I've totally derailed us now. But I love you sharing these things because like selfishly I'm always like taking notes. I'm like, hey, what does Jean do to become this like creative genius? But and it's interesting because so many of the creators I speak to, like Brian Kivon is like, no, I go into my little, writing base. Like he kind of is like, I'm off grid, and Greg Rucka is like the same thing. If it's a serious project, he's literally got to like remove himself completely and
Yeah.
almost like lock yourself down to be like, I can't have the distractions. And so, I mean, I'm the same way. I always found it interesting, those people who were able to like go to a party or a family dinner and like study or do their homework right when all the madness is going on. I'm like, I need complete silence and distance from everything. Like I can't even have the TV on. Like I have to be hyper focused. So I always find these conversations kind of interesting. And with your current project, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's got to be so much fun to, and you've done this before, of course, like with other projects, and it's not the first time, but to kind of create something that we also grew up with.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
of
yeah.
course you've done
Yeah.
Superman and all that as well, like so
Yeah.
many, but I mean that one's kind of got like this really, I feel like this nostalgia feel to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Ninja Turtles is special for a few reasons. Number one is it's very much a product of the 80s, right? Whereas Superman, debuted in the late
Yes.
1930s.
Yes.
But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out right as I was coming up, as we were coming up, right? It's
Yes.
like a Gen X, it's a product of Gen X. And I just have lots of memories of playing with the toys with my brother, of
Hmm.
watching the cartoon, and then going to the theater and watching those old Ninja Turtles movies with the Jim Henson
Yes.
puppetry and all that. So I have lots of like childhood nostalgic memories. But then on top of that, when I got started, I applied for the Xeric grant, which was a grant that was given out to self-published cartoonists 2 times a year, and it was established by Peter Laird, one of the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it was using Ninja Turtles money. And I got it. So I essentially like started my career with Ninja Turtles money.
Mm.
Ninja Turtles money funded the very first comic I did as an adult. So for all of those reasons, it really feels great to finally get to work on the turtles.
And which turtle were you?
Well, my favorite was Donatello. My favorite was always
Oh,
Donatello. How about you?
I liked Raphael.
You like Raphael?
Yeah, really grumpy.
It's
Which is kind of interesting because that's the student that drives me the craziest. Like my grumpy
is
teenage boys,
Raphael.
They drive me bananas. And I'm like, how is it that I loved that one? And it's funny, is my husband, that's who, he's one of four boys. And
I
so that's
see.
who he was, right? So it's kind of
He was
funny,
the
like he was the
Raphael.
Raphael. But I don't know that that's
Ah,
his personality, but like, yeah, just kind of like,
I
you
see.
know,
In
yeah.
comparison to his brothers, though.
I
That's who.
think so. Yes,
I
because
see.
like the oldest one was kind of like the Leonardo, and
Leo. Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
like, I feel like, yeah, I guess in comparison, correct.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I know. Well, you have to ask, like, which Ninja Turtle were you? Because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course you identify with a Ninja Turtle. Like, there's
Yeah,
only
that's
these
right.
four personalities. That's all it can, that's all we can be. That's all we can choose.
Yeah.
I was like, and then my dad was obviously Splinter. So it's
Oh,
like we
there
had
you
the whole
go. Yeah, that's
dynamic.
amazing. That's great.
Oh my gosh. Is there like a weight to it though? Like, do you feel this sense of
I
responsibility or
do,
stress
absolutely.
about like how it's perceived
Yes.
and writing for the next generation, basically? Like, you want them
Yeah.
to love it the way you did.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about turtles is that there are multiple continuities, and each continuity has its own unique features. So
Mhm.
I'm writing in the IDW TMNT universe. One of the most intimidating things is that I'm following Jason Aaron, who's amazing, like one of my favorite superhero
Yeah,
writers
he's
that's
great.
working today, right? And he did this legendary run on Ninja Turtles. Like people think it's I personally think it's one of the best runs of Turtles
Yeah.
ever. Like
Ah.
top three maybe.
Mm.
Maybe even
So
top
no
two.
pressure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's that. I have to push that out of my head when I'm
Yeah, of
writing.
course.
Um, and then yeah, I remember reading those books thinking, man, I wish they were not as good as they are. Because they're so good. Like if you haven't read Turtles in a long time, you should read his run. His run is amazing.
Yeah, that's going to my I have such a long list. I'm so
Yeah, yeah,
behind on
yeah,
my
yeah.
reading. It's so horrible, but like I feel like this is the time for that escape. Like I always say, I don't want to read things that are too real anymore because I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
get enough of that on a day to day.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the comics are such a phenomenal like escape tool, but also just to take you to that other world. What reading essentially, does for people.
Yeah.
Kind of jumping back to the creative part during stressful times, do you find one or the other easier might be the wrong word, but more accessible, like writing versus drawing? Because of course you can do both, because who's the overachiever now?
Well, right now I'm definitely doing more writing
Right.
than drawing. I'm trying to get in back into drawing. I have a small project that is on the horizon, very small, like a four-pager, and I'm
Mm,
doing it just to get back into drawing. But I definitely do more writing. It is different. I think the stresses are different. Like drawing just takes a lot of time, and I'm fairly slow. I'm not like Luen Pham, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a inhuman, drawing
I don't
like
know how she
superhuman.
does
I should
it.
say
Yeah.
superhuman drawing machine. Yeah, she's like it's
When
unreal
she
how fast she is.
autographs, she does like
Yes,
an art for
yes. It's like a mutant superpower for her. Like
yeah.
drawing is just something I do, but for her, it's like a mutant superpower.
Like
Uh,
Jim Lee is like that too. Like
yeah,
I've
Jim Lee
seen
is
it.
like
I'm
that
like,
too.
holy smokes, how fast you can
Yeah,
draw. I
yeah.
don't even understand.
Yeah,
But
right now
yeah.
I'm working with a young artist by the name of Jacob Perez, who comes
Okay.
out of animation. We're doing a 3-volume graphic novel series for adults, and he's the same way. He's like so fast and so
Yeah.
good. Like I think I have to find the right line. I have to draw it over and over and over again to find the right line. But
Mm,
for folks like Lei Wen or like Jacob, they just the first line that comes out of their pen is right. So drawing for me takes a long time, but
mm,
then writing is more soul wrenching for me.
right.
Like when I don't know. I feel like sometimes I feel like I get hives when I write.
Oh,
But and I have to like really force myself to do it. It's that thing that we were talking about earlier. Like
yes.
before I sit down to draw, I usually don't have the same kind of resistance. But
Mm,
before I sit down to write, I almost always have a resistance. Like it's like I don't know, like I'm forcing myself to be more truthful than I want to be or more honest than I want to be.
mm.
And I just have to force myself. to do it. I have
Wow,
to trick
you're
myself into
making it
doing
feel
it.
so uncomfortable.
Oh.
It's like, oh, writing is so uncomfortable. But I guess that's how you get to those places to tell those stories. Is there something also about the fact maybe that when you're drawing, essentially, you usually know what you're drawing. It's like not unexpected, or you don't know where this is
Yeah,
going to
that's
take
right.
you, and then you're a little more. It's like that preparedness. For me, it would be. I can't do
Yeah.
like either, but write or draw. But I would imagine like at least if I'm prepared, I'm like, okay, know what's gonna happen today. I know what I have to draw. It's this thing. But like having to just create like completely like what's the story? Who is this, what's the dialogue? Who am I telling? What, that I
Yeah.
can see how that's like really gut wrenching.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
are so, obviously I'm just mortified that we're not getting more American born Chinese on Disney, but you never know. But are there other projects you imagine making its way to, television or film?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying with a few different projects right now. Hollywood is in a strange spot.
It
Has
certainly
been
is.
for a little while, but I'm still in touch with Melvin Marr and Kelvin Yu, who are
Okay.
part of the American Born Chinese
Yes.
shows team, and we have a few books that we're trying to adapt, but we'll see how they go. Yeah, we'll
Amazing.
see how they go.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm also curious because a lot of your projects like Ninja Turtles or Shang-Chi, all of these, like you and every project you write actually has like heroes and villains. Do you find one more difficult or fun to write than the other, heroes versus villains? Because I
Oh,
get a lot of,
yeah, I do think one of the things that I am trying to get better at is writing villains. I think when I compare my antagonists to like the antagonists of other writers, I have a lot to learn, and I'm not sure why that is,
you're a
but
nice guy.
that's definitely
You're just too nice of a
I
guy.
don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, it's so
I think
true.
no.
It's so, so true. It's so true. Your
So
peers, like you bring up certain names in the industry and you get all these reactions. You're always like, nice guy. Everyone likes you.
well, that's nice of you to say. But I think between the two, I think that protagonist is generally easier for me to write than the antagonist.
Oh,
And I'm
interesting.
trying to get better at the antagonist.
Hmm. So yeah, I guess you got to hang out with more villains to get some,
I hang out with some villains. I hang out with some villains.
I think like it's growing up in the 80s, like what you and I were just kind of thinking about is like those 80s villains are so like over the top.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like through the years how our villains have kind of changed, and like now they're like a lot of times it's just like this mastermind and very understated and not like the big
Yeah,
hair
yeah.
ha 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 like evil villains. So it's really interesting to see like what that word even kind of projects, and how
Hmm.
how like multidimensional that could be. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to write fiction. Like that's just like way beyond my head.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best villain. This is a little bit of a cliche, but the best villains are always heroes in their own heads, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and and um, and I just got to figure out how to be better at that. One of my favorite villains in media is Azula from
Oh yeah, from Avatar.
Avatar: The
Yeah.
Last Airbender,
Hmm.
and the thing that makes her a great villain is this episode called The Beach, where she hangs out with her friends and her brother, and she really shares her soul, right? And
Mm.
it's like really the only time that you see how self-aware she is.
Hmm. A little
But
humanity too.
yeah, that's right, that's
Yeah.
right. And all the rest of the time you see her, she's like super evil. But
Yes.
that one episode makes her a very compelling villain.
Yeah, having the benefit of speaking to so many really great writers, like that's usually the thing, right? Like no one
Yeah.
is, I'm a very good person that's done bad things. I'm a very bad person that's done good things. And so it's like a lot of times you're not really sure. Like, is this
Yeah,
person
that's
really
right.
a villain, or is it circumstance, or is it like they think they're doing the right thing and they're
Yeah.
very multidimensional? I mean, it's like you said, it's you can tell when it's really well done because you should feel a little bit for that villain, not just hate them, right? Like you
Yeah,
have to
that's right.
have conflict about it. And yeah, I don't know. So do you read comics for enjoyment? Do you just
I
go, or is
do.
everything just like research based and
No,
like,
yeah, no, I do read comics for enjoyment. I do read like right now I'm reading Death of Silver Surfer. I'm
oh,
only a couple issues in, but it's written by Greg Pak, who's a good friend of mine.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
imagine
really
all
fun.
your friends who are all also all amazing. Like you probably have this huge stack of like, well, I kind of got to get to that to support
Yeah,
one
yeah, I do
another.
have a huge stack that I haven't read yet. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I definitely have that stack. You
But
know,
I feel like you, would your friends be all understanding that you haven't gotten to their book yet
oh,
or
we've
something?
never we don't yeah, we like Greg, from my books, he'll text me like 3 years later. He goes, "Oh, I just read that. It was really good." And it's totally that's just how it is. It just takes forever to
It
get to it.
does, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like if you're like me, I don't know, like sometimes you're just not really in the mood for XYZ. Like you have to be
Yeah,
ready to
yeah.
just like this is what I want to intake right now. And
Yeah,
so
that's
I
right.
can get
That's
a
right.
little
Yeah.
I'm not the best
My friend
reader.
Derek or Kim also has this amazing
Oh.
book, The Last Mermaid. It
Yes. Yeah,
came
I see
out.
you posting about that one all the
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. It's really, really awesome book. Really incredible.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, do you guys share like, hey, I want to bounce this off of you. What are your thoughts? Is this landing right? Or do you
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really
yeah. No,
like do you?
totally. No, we
Okay.
share thumbnail sketches with each other to give notes.
Mhm.
That's super critical. Like D Derek is one of the guys that I really
Okay.
rely on for that. Yeah.
And Tien, probably.
Yeah,
You
Tin.
guys
Well, Tin, when I send him stuff to read, he never reads it.
really? You know why he's too
He'll,
busy eating noodles.
yeah, I think that's what it is. He'll read it when it's done, but he won't read it when it's like not done yet.
That's so funny. Did he ever explain why?
No, he'll say that he thinks it's boring or I don't know.
Oh my God. That's how you know you
Yeah,
guys are really good friends
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
just like, okay, I
He'll be like, that
guess.
sucks, Yang. I don't want to read that.
I love that. I only got to speak with him the once, but
Okay,
he
okay.
was the sweetest. It was so much fun. And of course talking about food with him is
Yeah,
is a
yeah, yeah,
lot of
yeah.
fun. He's super into
He's very
food.
passionate about food
Yeah,
for
like if
sure.
you want to talk food, maybe you just have to write about food. Gene,
Yeah,
you're
yeah, that
you're
might be
not,
it.
you're not writing to his,
His
interests.
taste. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I'm not
Oh
writing
my
for his
gosh.
taste.
So is there because a lot of your projects you've done collaborations and then a lot of them you've also done like completely solo. Do you have a preference?
I like the balance because I think there's certain projects where I want complete control. I
Hmm.
want to have control over every word and every line on every page. And
Hmm.
then when I'm working with somebody else, I usually can learn a lot from them. Like working with Win on Lunar Your Love Story was great. I think she really
Yeah.
helped me, especially figuring out how to capture like the voices of young women. I think,
Hmm.
I really leaned heavily on her for that. And then just to see her approach to putting things onto the page. Like she pays very close attention to body language.
Hmm.
And I think she's able to capture body language in a way that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Oh, she's so awesome. I love her energy. I was so glad I got to hang out with her in LA. Like when I was there visiting, like we had brunch
Hmm.
and it was so nice. Like we all got to hang out and she's exactly like I would imagine. She's so much energy and just like full of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
life
yeah,
and
yeah.
but that really comes through in her work as well. So we are in December right now. What is your holiday like traditions or what is it like you guys are doing? I know you mentioned you usually have a full house and everyone's going to be home for the holidays. And is this like a fun time at the Yang house or is it
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. It'll
vintage
be a fun time.
time?
We'll
Or
we'll we'll spend time with our extended families, sometime with my side and sometime with my wife's side. We're still trying to figure out the details of that. But it's always great. It's holidays like my kids, especially my daughters, really love Christmas. It's like their favorite. So I'm looking forward to it. How about
yeah.
you? What are you planning on doing?
I'm hopefully keeping it not too crazy. I feel like my life is crazy on a daily basis with like sensory overload. Maybe because I'm around students all the time, like
Uh-huh,
around a
uh-huh.
lot of people all the time. And my mom is one of nine. And so growing up, our holidays were
Wow.
insane. Like it was like 70, 80 people minimum in the
Yeah,
house. And it just kept
incredible.
growing. And now, because everyone has their own families, like one sibling alone that's like 40 people. So we don't really do that anymore, but
I
honestly,
see.
I don't miss it. I feel like I like a little bit of the quiet and I feel like Oscar and I are like, man, we're just like going into senior citizen mode. We want to eat early, we want to sleep early.
Yeah.
We want to just like, you know,
Yeah.
we just want to kind of be rested, but at the same time, it's our holiday time, it's kind of crazy because we do the Epcot, we do the Lion,
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
So
That's
that
right.
started in
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and then like so we're in like go mode, and then we're preparing for Chinese New Year. So Lunar New Year is
Wow.
a little
Right around
later
the
this
corner.
year, but it comes up, and so for us, it's just like we're kind of still in such a high work mode, whereas everyone starts to like take off for the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
2 weeks,
yeah.
but we're like rehearsing and going in order to like keep that ball rolling because Lunar New Year comes up like this for us. As soon as New Year,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
January comes around, then we're like, oh gosh, we have shows already. So for us, it's a little hectic. So during like
Mm,
actual holidays, I kind of just want it to be like kind of chill.
that makes
But,
sense.
obviously there's a lot of eating involved.
Of course, always, always
I
a lot of
mean,
eating.
you
Always,
know,
that's the point.
right. That's the point.
Yeah,
What kind of
yeah.
food do you guys have at your house?
Well, this past Thanksgiving, we all realized that nobody in the house likes turkey. We went very Asian. Like my wife cooked something. She's Korean, so she cooked
Mhm.
a Korean dish that was really good.
Ooh,
And we had like rice, all the Asian-y
yes.
stuff. Yeah, how
So
about you?
my dad and mom traditionally always make turkey, but I didn't realize growing up it wasn't like everyone else's. It's literally a Chinese turkey. So they season it in a way
Oh,
that it's super different. There's no stuffing or any of
yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah.
deep fried turkey. It's like super moist. And it's got like, it
Wow.
even has like, I want to say black bean. Like it has all these flavors in it. So I always grew up loving turkey.
Loving
And then
turkey.
they would make turkey juk the next day, the congee. So we
I
would
see, I
actually take
see.
that to make so super Asian, but it was
But it
different.
sounds good. It sounds
It's
way better
so
than like
good. This is the thing.
normal
I
turkey.
always want people to have our turkey because I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
y'all, like it's totally different. So yeah.
yeah.
So we have that. And then, but to be fair, our Walum family has really become like our family. So we always have like a Christmas event for our
Oh, good, good,
instructors. And
good.
so we'll make food for them. But my mom is Jamaican, right? So we'll have like jerk chicken as well. So
Mm.
we have a lot of Chinese and Jamaican food in our house.
Oh,
And
that's great.
yeah,
That's
so
great.
every Christmas morning we have Jamaican breakfast. So that is the thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, so my traditions are I think a little unorthodox, I guess you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
say,
yeah.
but
It's
um
multicultural.
it
We have
is
multicultural
multicultural, right, right, which is
traditions.
very American
It is
essentially.
very
Like,
American. Yeah, yeah,
what is
yeah.
actually
Absolutely.
American, but I guess depends who you speak with,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's all good. Like it's an exciting time, but as you and I were speaking off air, it's just crazy like how quick the
It
time
went
goes. Like
so
I
fast. Yeah.
feel like we were doing Zooms, you guys were looking at our, performance
Yeah, yeah,
practices
yeah.
for Lion Dance for the book, like it was just this year, but it was not.
Yeah.
It was
It was
like
not. It was like a couple
no.
years
It
ago
was a
now,
couple
right?
years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
crazy.
like,
It's just gone so
where does the
fast.
time go? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I know everyone says that, but it really
It really feels that way.
it really feels that way.
Yeah, yeah,
It really does. It really
yeah.
does.
I
So,
agree.
so what other big things are you looking forward to? I know you can't talk about them all, but you definitely have projects lined up and
Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
kind of just do you structure it where you turn projects down because like these 3 months are for this, et cetera,
Yeah,
or is it
sometimes I
just
mean, yeah, I'm lucky enough where in my career where I do, sometimes have to turn down projects, which is, it's nice to be that busy, right? But I do have a few things that are still in the preliminary stages. I have I have that adult graphic novel that I mentioned earlier. It's called
hmm
Overrated. It's a
hmm
action comedy set in Los Angeles in 2006. It's the most violent thing I've ever written, like super violent.
Ooh,
Lots of
I'm intrigued.
lots of F-bombs. I don't think I've had a
Oh,
single F-bomb in any of my books
I'm
up
so
until now.
intrigued. Wow.
So
So you're like really tapping into the darker side of Gene.
yeah, I gave it to some of my cartoonist friends to read, and they're like, "Oh, you're writing out of your id." So I think that's probably true.
Well, I think it's about time. I think you're due. I
Yeah,
think you're
yeah,
due.
yeah,
I
maybe, maybe.
mean, you can take out all your frustration on that,
Yeah,
just like
that's
I'm
right.
throwing it all in here. And I love it. I can't wait to read this one because you're right. You have a certain kind of cadence and a certain expectation when we
Yeah,
hear a book
yeah,
from you. And
yeah.
so,
So
ooh,
it's
this
gonna
is
be very violent with
yeah.
lots of swords. And then I have a couple of other projects where it's still like super early. We're still like talking through,
hmm
contracts and figuring that kind of
Yes.
stuff out right now.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very excited for more film and TV projects from you because I had so many people, not just because it's you and whatnot, and or like, there's all this connectivity, but they were so upset that, American born Chinese, they're like, what? We don't get to know what comes next, after the
Yeah.
fourth scroll or whatever. They were like, what? They were so just, it was so frustrating. But you're right. It is such a weird place to be in right now with, seeing the merger for Netflix
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Time
yeah.
Warner. You're just like, what is happening? And
Yeah.
I just saw, because I don't really take in news, but you're right. When you're on, they just want to feed you something. And it was like, oh, these studios or these animation teams are making people like live draw at interviews to kind of prove they can
They can draw.
actually draw. What are your thoughts on like
Oh,
where all this is headed, where you can just say, draw me a horse with a this and this and this and
and then
like
it
a
does
comment,
it.
and then it just does it. And
Yeah,
as
yeah.
somebody as authentic as yourself, like,
Yeah. I
it,
mean, I read an article that talked about how, at least in our lifetimes, every single technological innovation has been met with mostly optimism. Like when the internet came out, people were very optimistic about it. And then even when phones came out, people were like pretty, like when the iPhone debuted, right? People were pretty excited. But AI is the one where, like, poll after poll, most people feel like a certain sense of doom around it, and I'm definitely a part of that. I feel a certain sense of doom. I'm trying to be positive, I'm trying to think about, because I think there's no way to get rid of it. So you have to figure out a
oh
way
yeah,
of,
it's full
right?
steam ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You have to find a way of integrating it into your process that doesn't compromise you as an artist. And I think the creative communities, like different creative communities, are still trying to figure out what that means, right?
Mhm.
So, practically speaking, right now, I do use AI for research,
Mhm.
and I
Of
think that's
course.
that's like hard to get around now because even when you just do a Google search,
Yeah,
like
it says here's
Gemini
your
is right there,
AI. Yeah.
right? And you have to be careful because AI hallucinates, so you have
It
to
does
like
hallucinate.
check
Yes.
sources and that sort of
Yes.
thing. Yeah, so
I
I
mean,
use it mostly for that right now,
and
right?
I think there is some like base value, right? Like not for creating things, but like, hey, I just wrote this paragraph. Can you check my grammar or something? Because
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like, I
right. That's
don't
right.
remember the apostrophes sometimes or whatever, but it is hard. It
Yeah.
is hard to not let it just do its thing. But luckily, I have, like, for me, I'm not like a true blogger or anything, but like, I'm like, okay, if I wanted to check my grammar, but I'm like, don't change anything. I need it
Yeah,
to still
that's
sound
right.
like me, and you sound way too nice. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not me.
yeah.
So, like, but it's going to get to a point where you're like, actually, this is better than what like, it's this
Yeah, yeah,
struggle,
yeah,
and like, you're
yeah.
like, ooh, do I even put this in there? And, but yeah, I found it useful for basic things like that, or, it's
Yeah, but
just, but
it's
it
it's
is,
it's
it's
hard to
tough.
resist, right? It's hard to
It's
figure out
hard
where
to
that
resist. Yeah,
where
that
that line
line.
is. Yeah, where to
Yes.
figure out where that line is. So I think that's going to be the key conversation in creative circles moving forward. I also think that artists are trying to figure out ways of protecting against AI right now. And for visual arts, I do think that original art, like physical original art, is going to become more and more valuable because of
Yeah.
that, you know?
Okay.
So
Do you feel like it will be difficult to authenticate,
yeah, I think that's something that they gotta figure out. But yes, I think that's a huge problem. The authentication is a huge problem.
right?
I do think comics in general right now, the comics community, fans and creators, and even publishers
Hmm.
are pretty anti-AI art
Yes.
and stories, right? Like Jim Lee put out that
Yeah,
statement.
he put out the statement of like,
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's my hero,
yeah.
but I think it's also going to be hard to figure out. I don't know, like even with that statement, if an artist turns in something that is AI assisted, how is DC Comics going to know one way or the other?
That's what I mean.
I'm
Like,
not
you
sure.
even just watch like a music video
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you're like, wait, is this real? Is it not real? And
Yeah,
I talked to
exactly.
the stunt coordinator for, that the show Warrior, and he was just like, I have been shown some stuff where you're asked to tell me which one's real, which one's AI. And he's like, he's in film, doing film, all of them. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
really hard to tell. And
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
I
hard to
can't even
tell.
tell. So you're
That's
just
right.
like, wow, like, how are we going to kind of get away from that? But I don't know. I have like you, a little bit of that hope where we have such a connectivity to humanity, and that we still want to have that human touch, and that,
Yeah.
like, we're going to not just gravitate towards wanting that artificial kind of thing, like that
Yeah, that's right.
fabricated thing.
That's
So,
right.
But I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's my age, right? I like movie sets where it's not just a CG thing and whatever. I
Yeah.
love that, this was built on a movie set and this was done here. And I mean, maybe that's just because I'm older.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah. Yeah.
know, right? I think it's an interesting rabbit hole. I'm sure you get asked out about a lot because it's so in our faces right now.
Yeah, it's so in our faces right now. I don't know. I wonder if you know how as Asian Americans, when an Asian American puts out a film, you feel like a little extra connection to it,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
or an Asian American, pop group puts out a pop song, you feel a little bit
Yeah.
of a connection to it. I'm hoping that that same dynamic works with us as a species, so that
Yes.
if something's created by humans, we as humans will feel a little bit extra connected to it than had it been created by machines.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's such a great analogy. I feel especially in things where there's like emotion, yes, of course, obviously, but even like movement, like it's so easy to watch an AI thing do an ice skating thing or a dance routine or
Yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
like if
yeah.
you're looking at someone, you're like, no, someone's physically had to work their asses off to be able to do that. Like
Yeah, that's
you
right.
have to have a level of respect, right? But I
Yeah,
don't know,
that's
or
right.
do we just need to be entertained? Like, ugh, I
Yeah,
guess
I
it's
don't
a
know.
demographic thing, but we'll hope for it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like your
we'll hope
take on
for
it.
it. We'll
We'll
hope for
hope
it.
for it.
We'll
We'll
hope for
hope for it.
it.
Boo to AI art,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but it is hard. Like I admit, like if I needed, like I needed a little like simple thing for a logo, I'm like, I
yeah,
just
yeah,
need
yeah,
these two
yeah,
lines to do this and whatever. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's there and I can't draw, right?
yeah. It's there.
So it's hard. It's really, really hard. And it's
Yeah,
like it would be hypocritical to be like, I'd never use blah blah blah, right? Like it's
yeah,
it's it's hard because like you said, a Google search alone, you actually have to actively turn it off
yeah.
to
That's
even
right.
engage, which
Yeah,
is we're not all as disciplined as you having your wife put in a passcode to lock things down. I'm like, I'm gonna have to get someone to come in, hack my system so that I can't
yeah,
access all the things that are bad for me.
yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
that's because I'm
gosh.
not disciplined. That's why I need my wife to lock things down. I'm not disciplined at all.
I beg to differ, but in any case, really excited for your projects that are on the slate. I will link everything here for everyone, but I know you have work to do and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's always so good to see you and
It's great to
I'm
see you
waiting for the
too,
next
Mimi.
collab, Jean.
Yeah, well,
I
well,
am
Win
here.
and I have talked about stuff, so we'll see. She's so busy too, though, but we'll
I
see if we can get
know.
ourselves
Oh my
lined up.
gosh, that would
Else
be
that'd be
amazing.
fun.
That would be amazing. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. You were so kind, and
Thank you,
I
Mimi.
feel
Thank
more
you.
creative just talking to you. So,
Oh, that's so nice of you to say. Thank you.
all right, everyone. Jean Luen Yang, everybody. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram or Facebook.